Shema Jasharala Adonai Elohim Takal Behavatla et Adonai Elohim Behokol Levaka Behokol Ovekol Naf Hashekal Ovekal Mehodeka. Greetings to all Israel. That's the Shema prayer. It's basically saying in the Hebrew, hear all Jasharala, your Adonai, your Elohim, he's one, saying, and you should love him, the Lord, your Elohim, with all your heart, with all your strength, and with all your soul. That's pretty much what it's saying there in the Hebrew. Greetings to everybody. I wish I could make a video about teaching you the language, but it's gonna be like a project in itself, But anyhow, I wanted to finish off these, 3 more chapters on Corinthians. My last video kind of cut short on one last part of chapter 6, so we'll finish that and round it off with chapter 7, 8, and possibly 9. Speaks about sexual immorality, which is really a problem with all of us, man. Men and women. So let's get edified and let me finish this chapter 6. And he got to the point where it says, last paragraph, glorify Yahweh in body and spirit. So all things are lawful for me, but all things are not helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Food for the stomach and the stomach for food, but Yahweh will destroy both it and them. Now the body is not for sexual immorality, but for Yahweh your Elohim, for the body and Yahweh both raised up your Lord, and which is Yahweh Shai, and raised us up by his power. Do you not know that your bodies are members of your Adonai Yahweh Shai? Shall I then take the members of Yahweh Shai and make them members of a harlot? Certainly not. Or do you not know that he who is joined to a harlot is one with her? For the two, he says, shall become one in flesh. But he who is joined to the Most High is one spirit with him. Flee sexual immorality. Every sin that a man does is outside the body, but he who commits sexual immorality sins against his own body. Or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from Yahweh our Elohim, and you are not your own, for you were bought at a price. Therefore glorify Yahweh in your body and in your spirit, which are Yahweh Elohim's. Alright, that finishes chapter 6, but in reality, man, is that sexual immorality is wrong, man, because it's essence thing. That's why two become one. That's why certain females. Well, we have gotten to know certain females. Homegirls, whatever, man. They kind of been around, whatever, and then they speak certain things that other homies or other brothers say, whatnot, because a piece of your essence is like imprinted in somebody when you have like intimacy, man. It's a spiritual thing too, man. And it's just morally wrong, man. You lose a piece of yourself, and then and you add something from someone else to yourself, so to speak. And you can understand that when the Most High breath, the sends the breath of life into man. That's why he's omnipresent, because anything that is living, he's the living Elohim, has his spirit in it, his spirit of life. So therefore, when you're being a maniac, and you're fucking watching porn or doing some pervert shit, or just being sexually immoral, like, you could lie to yourself, man, but you can't lie to the Most High, because he's right there watching you do all this shit, man. And he's holding tabs on you, man. He can whoop your ass, man, because sexual immorality is just wrong, man. So let's proceed, We'll get to that later on in this video, chapter 7, principles of marriage. See, now concerning the things of which you wrote to me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Let the husband render to his wife the affection due to her, and likewise also the wife to the husband. See, the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Do not deprive one another except with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and to come together again, so that the adversary does not attempt you, because Hasatan, says there, Satan, does not attempt you because of your lack of self-control. But I say this as a conscience, not a commandment. For I wish that all men were even as I myself. But each one has his own gift from Yahweh Elohim, one in the manner and another in that. But I say to the unmarried and to the widows, it is good for them if they remain even as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. Or I'm going to pause it there for a minute. Okay. First of all, the Apostle Paul, man, he was celibate. He didn't, he refrained from that. But see, now, like he said, it would be a good thing because that's a blessing, but that's a tough walk, man. Especially, when, you come into truth after living a certain way here in Babylon where, sexual immorality is just advertised and glorified and pushed on you. So I'm not saying to go celibate, but since you're not gonna go celibate, he said he don't want hostile time, which is the adversary to tempt you, and the fleshly desires, man, that men and women have, what I'm saying. So therefore, like marry one person, so that way two become one, and give your body up to him, and you give your shit up to her. You know what I mean? Like pretty much. That's what he covered on that. So let's proceed. Keep your marriage vows. Okay, before I continue this, that this talks about physical and spiritual. Because physical, yeah, you're married to a man and a man's married to a woman. You know what I'm saying? Woman to man, man to woman. But spiritually, we're married to our nation, to Yasharala, the bride. The children of Israel. What you think our father's name was Jacob. You know what I'm saying? Which means Jacob's covenant with Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? Because we were given as a covenant, as a gift to the Most High. So, we're the bride with Yasharala. So, I'm going to proceed, right? Now to the married, I command you, yet not I, but the Lord. A wife is not to depart from her husband, but even if she does depart, let her remain unmarried or reconcile to her husband. And a husband is not to divorce his wife. But to the rest, I not the Lord say, if any brother has a wife who does not believe and she is willing to live with him, let him not divorce her. And a woman who has a husband who does not believe, if he is willing to live with her, let her not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Otherwise your children would be unclean, but now they are holy. But if the unbeliever departs, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such case. But Yahweh the living Elohim has called us to peace. For how do you know, O wife, whether you will save your husband? Or how do you know, O husband, whether you will save your wife? All right, basically saying that, you have a pagan wife or an unbelieving wife, just a secular wife or a secular husband, whatever. Let him be him, whatever, because, he's still your companion as long as you're morally sound, and you guys, coexist together. Fine, let him be, because at the end of the day, like, salvation is an individual thing, So, but then when, if you divorce him, whatever, then you're not, he doesn't hold nothing against you, or she doesn't hold nothing against you. Let her, go on her pagan merry way, and you go on your way. Let's proceed. Live as you are called. But as Yahweh Elohim has distributed to each one, as the Lord has called each one, so let him walk. And so I ordain in all the clutches. Was anyone called while circumcised? Let him not be uncircumcised. Was anyone while circumcised? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing. But keeping the commandments of Yahweh Elohim is what matters. Let each one remain in the same calling in which he was called. Were you called while a slave, do not be concerned about it. But if you can be made free, rather use it. For he who is called in the Lord while a slave is the Lord's freedman. Likewise, he who is called while free is Yahweh's slave. For you were brought at a price, but not become a slave of men. Brethren, let each one remain with Yahweh in that state which he was called. Basically saying that, if you, came from the northern kingdom, southern kingdom, whatever, and whatever got you to this truth, man, remain that, man. Don't just like flip out, man. It's basically saying, if being suffering, long suffering, whatever got you to the Most High, then stay like suffering because you're now rich in spirit. Same thing if you were just a rich man and you were just spiritually dead, and now you're saved. Then remain that. Be conscious of the fact that you were something, and now you're something else. So let's proceed. Stay true to yourself. Basically, that's what it's saying. Now, the concerning virgins, I have no comment commandment from the Lord, yet I give judgment as one whom the Lord in his mercy has made trustworthy. I suppose therefore that this is good because of the present distress, that it is good for a man to remain as he is. Are you bound to a wife? Do not seek to be loose. Are you loosened from a wife? Do not seek a wife. But even if you do marry, you have not sinned, and if a virgin marries, she has not sinned. Nevertheless, such will have trouble in the flesh, but I will spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short, so that from now on even those who have wives should be as though they are none, and those who weep as though they did not weep, those who rejoice as though they did not rejoice, those who buy as though they did not possess, and those who use this world as not misusing it, for the form of this world is passing away. Okay, I'm going to stop it here for a minute. First of all, he's saying that, if you want to be, a virgin female and male, then adult male, but yeah, that's good for you, you don't have to worry about all this stressful thing, But if you do marry, what I'm saying, and you lose your virginity, then you haven't sinned. You've been married, right? That's what he says, right? And that's what he also finishes off with, you will spare yourself all this trouble if you just stay virgin. You know what I'm saying? But these are different times now. So now let's proceed. So see, now he says too that when he says that, in a short time, that a man whose wife should be as though he had none, means that be thankful you have a wife or husband, but be ready to, like, if they don't make the cut or they have to go, then the Lord gives, the Lord takes. You know what I'm saying? That's what it says. So just be subconscious about that. Same thing when it says that he who cries, act like you don't cry, because cry that you're suffering, but know that joy is coming. And that this world's passing away, basically. But I want you to be without care, he says. He who is unmarried cares for the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he who is married cares about the things of the world, how he may please his wife. See, there's a difference between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares about the things of the Lord, that he may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she who is married cares about the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I say for your own profit, that not that I may put a leash on you, but for what is proper, that you may be served, that you may serve, Yahweh without distraction. But if any man thinks he is behaving improperly towards his virgin, if she is past the flower of youth, and thus it must be, let him do what he wishes. He does not sin, let them marry. Nevertheless, he who stands steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but has power over his own will, and has so determined in his heart that he will keep his virgin, does well. So then he who gives her in marriage does well. But he who does not give her marriage does better. A wife is bound by law as long as her husband lives. But if her husband dies, she is at liberty to be married to whom she wishes, only the Lord. But she is happier if she remains as she is, according to judgment. And I think also the spirit of Yahweh agrees. Okay, now, here's the thing. First, he's saying this part about the unmarried man, married man. It's true. Like, for example, I don't have a wife and I don't have any children, and see, so therefore I could do this work because this is my lot, so therefore I have to do it. Now, my brothers and my younger brothers, whatever brethren, they have wives, baby mama, children, they can, it might not be their lot to, prophesy and do this work, but it's still their duty to be a hearer and a follower of it, to abide, because they have other worries, what I'm saying? As, their children and whatnot, to abide. And, this wisdom that he gives you, it's going to in due time reveal to you why things are how they are, and therefore that will also strengthen you to not be sexually immoral. It's come a long way, man, because, all those who know me personally know that, I used to, I used to be thirsty too, man, you know what I'm saying? I leave it at that because I don't like to glorify that, This is not what it's about, so, let's see, also too, what it meant too about the virgin is that, if you marry a woman and she's virgin and she wants to keep her virginity, and you wish that because she married you now that she has to give it up, and you force her to. Not that once it's forced, but if she gives it up, you haven't really sinned because she's married to you. But at the same time too, like if you don't do that and you honor her, then it says, oh, it does better for you, which means that you're earning props in the shaman and the hand, because spiritually, you're in accordance with her, and you respect and honor, that she doesn't wanna, she doesn't wanna have sex, man. She wants to be pure for the Lord, and therefore you love that woman spiritually. You know what I'm saying? And you're spiritually strong, and because there's more to love than just banging. Because if that wasn't the case, then how many wives wouldn't we have after men and women have sleazed around, so to speak, or to be nice about it. Now I'm just gonna do chapter 8, man, and then we'll do some more just for the lack of not making this video too long, alright? Now concerning things offered to idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. And if anyone thinks that he knows anything, he knows nothing, yet he ought to know. But if anyone loves Yahweh Elohim, this one known by him, therefore concerning the eating of things offered to idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is no other Elohim but one. For even if there are so-called gods, whether in the Shamayan or on the earth, as there are many gods and many lords, yet for us there is only one Elohim, the Father, of whom are all things, and we for him, and one Lord, Adonai Yahweh Shai, through whom all are things, and through whom we live. Whoever there is not in everyone that knowledge. For some with a conscience of the idol until now eat it as a thing offered to an idol, and their conscience being weak is defiled. But food does not command us to Yahweh, for neither if we eat or we better, nor if we do eat or we worse. But beware lest someone this liberty of yours become a stumble block to those who are weak. For anyone sees you who have knowledge eating in an idol's temple, will not the conscience of him who is weak be embodied to eat those things offered to an idol? And because of your knowledge shall the weak brother perish for whom Yahweh Shai died? But when you thus sin against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, you sin against Yahweh Shai. Therefore, if food makes my brother stumble, I will never again eat meat, lest I make my brother stumble. Okay, I'm gonna pause it there for a minute. They're really talking about like foods, like pork and all that shit that, is offered like to, all these idols. Like, let's say an example, right? Someone invites you to like a, party, and, it's your coworker and they're Buddhist and they're cooking that pig, and you eat it because you want to be courteous or nice. And let's say that another brother that looks up to you and he's trying to get into this truth sees that, it might demoralize and be like, damn, man, if my Akim, called brothers that preach, is doing this, man, and shit, it must be cool, and I'm gonna do it, like, and that could apply to like drugs, womanizing, even up to cursing, which is bullshit because this language is blasphemous in itself, but you get the point though. Basically, if you're walking in this truth, whatever, and like abide by it, man, so that way that whoever is on the balance, in looking at you as a standard, then hold that standard. And on that note, shalom, fam.